Good morning, dear friends. Good morning. Welcome. I see
Good
familiar
morning.
faces here. I don't see familiar faces. At least I see familiar names. I hope I can see familiar faces soon. Harumi, Maria, Dan, Sue, how are you? And if you're watching me from YouTube or Facebook, and it's the year 2050, I want you to know that this conversation we're having today is as relevant in the year 2050 as it was in 2024. So, not to date this conversation, the context for today's conversation is this statement: the untold truth about emotional intelligence in leadership. Well, I'm going to begin right away with the untold truth. This is not the kind of conversation where I'm interested in you being in suspense. Let's dive right in, okay? And I'll spend a few minutes creating the space for the conversation, and then I'd love you to engage with me to create for yourself, for your family, for your business, for the world around you, a space where you are connected to the the crux of it all when it comes to emotional intelligence in leadership. So here's the untold truth. It's a big secret, but in about 2 seconds, it will not be anymore. The untold truth is this: that emotional intelligence is not an innate trait that some people are born with and some people aren't. Like you might bump into people and you say, oh my God, whatever it is that's going on over there is so not emotionally intelligent. It's not like they were born that way. And it's not like they're incapable of being someone who can practice having emotional intelligence. So that's the untold truth. Emotional intelligence is accessible to everyone, and it is something that anyone can practice anywhere. And the key word there, folks, is practice. Practice. So the moment for myself, I say I have emotional intelligence, I actually don't have it. I can only practice having emotional intelligence. So picture this: you in high school, as I was at least once, and the principal says on the loudspeaker, Sorrel, Sorrel Kitan, please come to the principal's office. And immediately something happens in my brain. And that's the second step in this conversation, to actually distinguish that for a human being, there's this kind of default emotional intelligence that's available to all of us. I'm going to read you an excerpt from a chapter in a book written by a gentleman named David Roth. And the book is called Upward Spiral. Alex Korb is actually the author of this. And it says all human beings are endowed with a powerful mechanism that protects us from danger. This principal source of the flight or fight mechanism is this little organ deep in our brain called the amygdala, a small organ deep in the brain. The amygdala regulates the response to emotional stimuli. And there's such a thing in the science of the brain called an amygdala hijack. And folks, this is what I'm calling default emotional intelligence for human beings. An amygdala hijack happens like this: when you walk into a room, when I walk into a room, as I go to the principal's office, as you enter a date with your significant other, as you enter your church, whatever it is, wherever you are, your brain is scanning and the amygdala is receiving stimuli from your eyes, from your nose, from your ears, from your touch, wherever. And it's saying, is there danger here? Is this thing going to eat me or can I eat it? Is this thing going to kill me or can I kill it? Do I need to run? Do I need to fight? Now, guess what, folks? That that thing that our brain does is critical. And it's the default emotional intelligence. In every interaction with a human being, even when you're alone, it's at play. It served us really well millions of years ago. And fortunately for us, it's still here because it keeps us out of physical harm. And yet, the way my brain, the way your brain is wired, almost everything is perceived as danger. And that's what makes this default emotional intelligence somewhat of an impediment when it comes to leading others, influencing myself, influencing others, and leading myself. Get this. Here's the challenge. The amygdala can be triggered not only by the threat of physical pain and real danger, but by the threat of psychological or emotional pain. Guess what are threats to you at all times? Traffic, a deadline, a new job, an argument, a question, being late, misunderstandings, not getting a call back from your girlfriend or your significant other, not having enough time, an expectation you had that's unfulfilled, disappointment, not achieving your goals. When somebody doesn't do what you want them to do, everything like that occurs as real danger to your brain. So therefore, it renders you as a leader in a space where you cannot practice being emotional, intelligent, and effective. So that's at the foundation and at the root of the untold truth. The untold truth is that emotional intelligence in leadership in a way that works effectively is not an innate trait. You got to practice. And what do you practice? You practice knowing, staying aware of, and seeing that your brain does exactly what we just went through. It perceives danger even when it doesn't exist, and it reacts to it. So in every interaction with a human being, that's what you and I are doing. So what can we do as human beings who say we want to lead to practice having emotional intelligence? Three simple things, folks. One, be aware that in every situation you're in, when you encounter that other human being or that group, you are facing, and so are they, your amygdala and their amygdala about to be hijacked. It's inevitable. Knowing that is half the battle. The rest of the battle is putting practices in place to disengage, neutralize, and calm the amygdala, not just for yourself, but for others as well. And I'm going to give you three simple steps to do that. And the great thing about these three simple steps is that it simultaneously works for you and for others. The first step is this, and it's anchored in this view of life. You will notice that people around you do crazy things and say crazy things. You've seen it on TV throughout the election period. You see it in your homes. You see it at church. You see it in children. You see it everywhere. People do and say crazy things. Now, why? People do and say crazy things because they do not have the experience of being heard. It's that simple. So when I walk into a room, when you walk into a room, as a leader who's concerned for communicating effectively and impacting and influencing people around you, the first thing you do is make sure that they are heard. When people are heard, it has the impact that is reliable of calming the amygdala, neutralizing it, and leaving you in a space where both you and the other person can transfer the energy that's in your brain from the limbic system up to the prefrontal cortex where you can think and work together. Simple step. Do it at home, do it at work, do it by yourself, do it with your significant other. Listen to what somebody says. And when you hear it, work to repeat it to them, almost word for word. That's the first thing. Repeat what the person says word for word. Because if you don't do that, their brain is going to stay hijacked and they won't be able to work and collaborate with you. The second step is once you can repeat it word for word, and if you can't, work with them. Ask for support so they can say what they said again. And the way that works on your end is that when you're making the effort to be able to say to someone their words exactly, you cannot be thinking about what you're going to say or what you're going to respond. Your job is to just feed back to them exactly what they said. That's the first step. The second thing you want to do is to now listen and hear the commitment behind what people say and express that commitment to them. Not your commitment, their commitment. And once you hear that commitment and you express it in your own words, check in with them. And once you check in with them and they confirm that, yeah, I'm committed to that, you take the third step, which is to express to them your validation of who they are that would have such a commitment. And it could sound something like this. Kurt, you are a good one to do this exercise with me because I want to conclude this portion of the conversation by interacting with you a little bit to get it present here and get it present with everyone who's listening, wherever they are. Good morning, Kurt.
Good morning, Sorrel. Grand Rising.
Grand Rising, brother. Now, the first thing I want to check in with you, given that I didn't say anything to you prior to this conversation, and then I called your name and I put you right on the spot, I assume, well, not assume, I'm asserting that in some way that hijacked your amygdala. It was unpredictable, unexpected. There you are. So, what is it like for you, for me to just call you out like that?
Yeah, I'm just casually listening, and then all of a sudden I heard my name, and yeah, like you say, the amygdala activation, like all of a sudden my energies were focused right to the screen and starting to look for your eyes, and my listening was quite different, heightened, because it's
Uh,
like,
uh,
oh, I'm on the spot.
exactly. Now you and I are friends. So the threat isn't quite what it could be. I wanted to illustrate that for all of us. In every situation you're in, you hear your name called, you get asked a question. There is that default emotional intelligence that's already there, prepared to give you what you say, what you do, and how you interact with others. So, Kurt, let's practice.
Okay, I'm
Tell
ready.
me something about your life that you love.
I love that I get to meet so many amazing people and kind of in the realm of what this conversation is, I have fun telling people that I crave attention and that I can give attention. I'm able to go on stages like this.
Okay, so stop there for a moment. Now I'm asking you for your support so I can reproduce exactly what you're saying because my brain can't hold more than half a sentence. You went on mute, Kurt.
Yeah,
So, uh, so you said, could you say what you said again, but give me one sentence?
one sentence. I love to be
Yeah,
on stages.
there you go. Now I can reproduce that. I can say that word for word. Imagine you were saying something else to me, and I would stop you every other minute or so and repeat it to you. Kurt, what I'm hearing you say is that you love to be on stages. Now I'm going to take it a step further. Now I'm going to say to you, even though you didn't tell me, the commitment I hear in the background that has you like being on stages. So, Kurt, I hear you say that you love being on stages. And man, I can get your commitment to being someone who doesn't get on the stage for yourself so you can be seen, but you get on the stage because you've got this thing that you're committed to called every single one is as able as they are and is seen in the world as the master of ability. So I hear that commitment, Kurt. And I also want to acknowledge you for being someone who would give your entire life over to the fulfillment of that commitment. To see that people in the world, whether they were born in what in conditions that people call normal or were born differently able, that they have the privilege to live life in a way that everyone else gets to live life. So I, I say who you are to me, Kurt, is a master of ability who doesn't treat himself as a master, but goes to the very people who may not be able to learn what ability really is. Thank you for that, Kurt.
You're very welcome. Thank you for the
So
honor.
now, so now tell me this. What I did, I first said exactly what you said. I love to be on stages. And then I acknowledge a commitment that I created. I invented that commitment. Yes, I've had conversations with you, but you've never said those words to me. I invented that commitment and gave it to you. And then I acknowledged you as the human being who would have that commitment. Tell me, what was it like for you being in that conversation, being acknowledged that way?
Well, I'll start with, to say a sense of belonging, to be able to hear you articulate those thoughts and a sense that, it's coming from your heart and I sense you owning what you were saying and that as I was listening, it's like, wow, how relevant that is. And like you said, you invented it, you created it. And so, I used to be an EMT for 10 years. We were trained in radio modeling. You get messages, and as an EMT, you have to repeat it back so that they know that everybody's on the same page as you're running an emergency. Um, so the idea is you know, when you provide that back to me, and then now once you're done, now I have, like you said, it's a gift to me. So now
Is
you
it
gave
true?
me a building block. You're participating in what I'm doing, and I get that feeling like we're co-creating this. That you put everything through me, my identity, how you experience me, and now you gave me something valuable that now as I go to another person, I have a heightened awareness of my effect that I have on people through you giving me that feedback. It's a sense of empowerment.
Thank you, Kurt. Thank you. So, and I love the way you said it. You said it left you being someone that you always knew yourself to be that, but me creating it gave you a new space to fully be that in this moment. So in companies, in relationships, in in plain old interactions in public, the my amygdala, my brain will react to anything you say and anything others do as danger, and not recognizing that this is the sort of innate default emotional intelligence that drives people, leaves me, you, and others with this compelling need to go fix that individual or to fix me so that I can appease the sensations that my amygdala generates when my brain secretes hormones in my body that makes me feel a certain way. So the call to action here, folks, is nothing. Don't do anything to fix all of that. Recognize that and then proceed to speak in a way that leaves both you and the people in your life disengaged with the default emotional intelligence. Speaking like that, repeating words to people like that, acknowledging their commitments like that, acknowledging them for their commitments like that, leave you and them elevated in a way that creates a space for collaboration, innovation, love, affinity, the whole bit. So we've got a few minutes left. I'd love to hear questions, comments. I pray that this is a gift to you, that you can go in your life right now and listen to somebody say something, repeat it back to them, invent their commitment, and invent them in your speaking. Questions, comments, yeah, buts.
Thank you. I like it.
Hello, Harumi.
Hello. Yes, I love it. Thank you so much. Is that relating something like we always say, our thought? 90% of our thoughts are coming from the past. Is some kind of relationship to that?
There is some relationship to that, and yes, that relationship is anchored in the amygdala, right? My brain is going to ensure that what happened to me in the past that harmed me doesn't happen again. So I'm always going into new relationships, new interactions, new conversations, working really hard, unconsciously though, to ensure that the past doesn't happen again. I want to survive. I want to stay alive. And everything's, even just a question, is something that occurs as if it's going to eat me. Thank you for that, Harumi.
Thank you.
All right. Well, let's conclude on this note.
Practice.
Oh, I can't hear you, CC. Is that you?
I'm sorry.
It's breaking up, CC.
All right. Well, CC, we'll catch you at another time. Oh, you turned your video off. Maybe I can hear you now.
Can you hear me now? How do
No,
we practice this?
not so well. Not so well. Sorry, CC. All right, folks. Well, we've got 2 minutes, and let's conclude this way. You and I were born with brains. Let's be grateful for that. Your brain has something called an amygdala. It scans the world for nothing more, nothing less than the danger that could kill you. Because you see, that's how our species has survived this long. We react to danger. We evolve by learning from it, and we create ourselves and the space where we have become the dominant species. And as such, though, we continue to respond the same way, even when there is no real danger present. And my intention today is that you are left with a practice that leaves you with the capacity to neutralize, disengage, and calm your amygdala so that the energy that's being consumed by the equivalent of running, fighting, or freezing in your relationships, at work, with your own self, leaves you free to do what you've always wanted to do, to generate the kind of connection with other human beings around you, to get out of people who work with you the performance you've always wanted. And there's nothing more you need to do, because you know what? People come to the table committed. They come to the table committed and competent. And if they're not, you can train them. The performance they are is their action, and their actions produce results. However, unless you and I take the steps to calm the amygdala down on a continual basis, the ability for them to stay in action and perform diminishes or is even eliminated. So hear the words, say them back. Create the commitment, literally invent it for them and for yourself. And then acknowledge them. And in acknowledging them for their commitment, you also are inventing who they are. And man, no one loves it better than you to be the creator of another. And no one enjoys it more than them when you create them that way. You see, people always rise to your creation. If you have jerks in your life, create differently, okay? So we'll end on this note. Love is the way to go. Yes, love is the way to go. The 8 tenets of the Daily Huddle are love. Love the people you love. Love the people you don't love. Stress less. Eat mostly plant-based. Rest and give. Give everything you've got. And last but not least, move. And every now and then. And what I mean by every now and then, you might set a clock to ring every 30 to 45 minutes. And when that alarm rings, go ahead and check the assumptions you're making. See how your amygdala is hijacked and practice calming it down and create. I love you. It's great spending this time with you. And I look forward to seeing you this coming Monday here on the Daily Huddle. And if you're listening outside of this moment, be sure to subscribe to the Daily Huddle on YouTube. We are at the Daily Huddle. I will see you next week. Have a blast.
Peace and blessings.